Okay, so we're here today with Felipe Arias to talk about the difference of working with clients in
Pause.
uh, Arias.
Arias, yeah,
Okay,
it's Spanish.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
I was wondering about that. Okay,
no worries.
so we're here today to talk with Felipe Arias about the difference of working with small businesses and enterprise clients in the digital marketing space. How's it going, Felipe?
Hi everyone, I'm doing well, and you guys?
We're doing well. What planet is that behind you?
Um, Mars. I think we're about to arrive there,
I'll,
so
I'll have to check that out. I think I'm on. That's Venus, so a little bit far away, but I'll
yeah,
head your way. Maybe we could have like
nearby. Yeah,
a space smoothie after this.
sure.
um, so jumping into the questions, like I think one of the biggest things I think that's like a differentiator between working with like enterprise clients versus small businesses is the growth potential. So it seems to me that like when we're pulling levers in digital marketing and like trying different campaigns and different strategies and things like that, that with the smaller companies it's like a percentage game. Like you could, make a way bigger difference in terms of like, oh, they're doing like 40% more profit, 60% more profit, whatever. With the enterprise client, you'll never get to like 60% more profit, or you'd be like a billionaire. But it's more about like the large like bulk numbers. So it seems like with the smaller ones, percent with small numbers, and the big ones like smaller percentages with big numbers. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, you're right. It's like usually with the enterprise clients, you're like fighting for market share as well, either to like you're like the second or the third largest, and you're trying to knock out the first one, or you're like the first one, the leader, but and you have not much place to go, and you but you're fighting to keep your market share. So I think you have a point.
That's a good point. So yeah, in terms of market share, it seems like with the bigger companies, the focus is a lot more on the competition. And then with the smaller ones, you may have some competitors, but like there's so many and they're typically smaller. And then to the big guys, you're just like an insect, so they're not even really thinking of you and like looking at you. So it seems like it may be that like for enterprise clients, like the competitors, like the reaction to the competitors forms a bigger part of the overall marketing strategy, and especially for digital marketing. Do you have any
Oh
thoughts on
yeah.
that?
Oh, for sure. It's like I think that enterprise clients, they kind of have this uh, status quo mentality. So they at a certain point or a certain level, they kind of stop, not altogether, but they kind of like don't focus as much on the clients because I already have my market share. I mean that's not right, by the way. So everybody that's watching, that's wrong, the wrong mentality. But it is what it is. So a lot of enterprise clients, they do go tend to go towards that mentality. So I've seen that with my own eyes, like some clients that I've worked with, and they were like, the customers were telling them that they needed to focus on the product and on their features, and they were like, yeah, but like my competitor has opened up at this new place, we need to go there. So yeah, so I think that when you're working with like SMEs clients, smaller clients, there's definitely like a healthier, way healthier concern with the client, because you have to service the client the best you can. You have to make the best product you can. So the customers like love it and turn into ambassadors, and that ties into what I was saying. Like with a lot of enterprise companies, they're and especially because like some enterprise clients, they have been around for so long that the people that work at marketing, they're like the 10th 20th team that is working there, so they have like no idea of what was it like in the beginning. So they definitely like only focus on bonuses and like, yeah, I need to watch out for my competitor and kind of stop looking towards the clients, because that's what you really need to do, like focus on the clients and be customer centric. At least that's my humble opinion.
And that makes me think of one business in particular, which like anybody who's watching may be thinking the same thing, but like Amazon, because Jeff Bezos always talks about like focus on the customer. We don't even look at the competition. We just like keep doing that, and that's where it got them. But that's so easy to say, and
Oh
because it
yeah.
worked out for them. But like other people who do that, it may not pan out all the time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
well, and I think yeah, I think the larger companies, like the enterprise clients, are more constrained in like what they can do and try. And it also seems like they probably have less to gain from more radical experimentation versus smaller companies. And they may even have more to lose if they try something and there's like a negative reaction. So have you ever like with like enterprise client, have you had an experience where like there's a push from somebody to try some kind of like experimentation or like new approach or like new messaging or positioning or something like that, and then there's extreme pushback from it internally?
That's a great question. Well, I have been. I wasn't like on that team working, but I was at the same agency that was serving the client, and there wasn't a pushback from them. But like, just to add to your point, like a story about that. I cannot say their name, obviously, but what happened was that they had this idea of like, why if we invest in full funnel. They were like a big retailer. They were like, yeah, we invest in the entire funnel. What would happen if we started investing just on both, just at the bottom of the funnel? That's like a valid question, I think. So they did that, and it worked for like a quarter. Yeah, a quarter, and then like it crashed completely. And there was a lot of like uh, name calling and like pointing fingers. But that's like, to add to your point, it's like if that happened to a smaller client, I think that the way that they would handle it would be like a lot more like, not easygoing, but like, let's test it, let's iterate. It's not working, let's revert back. But since it was like a huge multinational company, you had to like approve those changes with the main company, like the original country, and then you had to do the same thing again. So basically, to cut things short, they kept that strategy for like more than 12 months, when they should have reverted like at the second quarter, probably. So I think it's like the the rabbits and the tortoise story, right? So it's like, sometimes you have to be quick. It's like, this is not working. You have to change things around. And with enterprise clients, enterprise companies, a lot of the times they have to like go through like 10 hoops before they can make a change. And there's a lot of like, um, well, I presented this idea, so if I go to my board or like my manager and say that, look, this is not working, that might look bad, look bad on me, like that they might chastise me or something. So there's a lot of, I think that there's a lot of human psychology that plays into enterprise clients, because you're dealing usually with like huge teams and a lot of bosses and levels. So it's like, I've seen this. Unfortunately, some folks at enterprise companies, they're more like, I have to keep my boss happy, and that's like their only objective, their only goal is to keep them happy and leave out the rest.
So I have some thoughts on that. Like on that first part with like,
Yeah.
oh, let's eliminate the top of funnel. So like, I just imagine like, like out of ignorance, but also like I was just imagining, is like could it be a scenario where there's like some nefarious marketing manager who like knows like the top level KPIs are gonna look really good for a short period of time when they do that, and then get some bonus and then like get out, because yeah, because that's just like a death sentence for a company like that. And then
Yeah,
also in terms of like different people, needing to approve stuff and like navigate that environment, yeah, with enterprise companies, like the political game is so much, is like really big, and especially dealing with the hippos. So what does hippo stand for again? It's like the highest paid person in the room's opinion.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a
So
very good. Yeah.
yeah, then oftentimes like it's all like it revolves around the hippo. Like okay, like they probably don't, like they definitely don't have the technical granular knowledge of like what's going on with like some ad campaign or something, and they probably shouldn't, because they need to like see the higher, the bigger picture. But like as you said,
Hmm.
like a lot of people like capitulate to like whatever they do, and they'll just like agree with them, and then something gets crushed, and then um I don't know. So, like it's just funny that it works like that. And then also like enterprise clients seem more like it's a game of musical chairs, where like okay, a new CMO comes in. If if you're a like an agency vendor, or you're doing like PPC like internally for a company like that, like that could either be really good news or it could be really bad news, because like it seems like whenever they come in, they have to prove themselves. They got to do something big, and then that could be good, or it could be, and I've seen it be like disastrous, also. And then also
Yeah,
for like point of contacts, like you, and then that goes into like relationships, where like your point of contact, it can be a marketing manager, a marketing director, or anything, and it's going really well, and then they, whatever, they're out of the picture, and then a new one comes in, and then I've seen many a relationship just like die instantly as a result of that.
yeah, yeah. I've seen that as well. And like, just to go back a little bit to what you're saying, the whole data-driven thing, in my honest opinion, gonna be, say
Yeah,
something like
hit the honest.
outrageous.
Yeah, be outrageous.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the smaller companies are way more data-driven for sure. Because that ties into what you're saying. It's like um, the hippo is like you can present them with the best data, and like this is like the clear path. Like Ray Charles could see that you need to go that way, and they're like, nah, I want to go to the other side. And because they're the hippo, there's nothing that anybody can do. They will like have to like, okay, you're the boss, I have to do that. So that's a bummer. So in my opinion, like being data driven is way, I wouldn't say easier, but it's like way more normal and like ordinary on smaller companies. And also what you mentioned about when you have a new CMO, a new director. Yeah, I've seen those things happen where it's like in the middle of a year, there's like a whole plan, and usually that's something that I think it's good for everybody listening to know. It's like usually in smaller companies, you have like quarter goals. You have like major OKRs. You have like you could have like an annual goal, but usually you those are like broken down into chunks, like smaller chunks, like quarter ones or even monthly ones. And with enterprise clients, they usually tend to keep at the 12-month time frame. So anyway, so I've seen those moments where it's like you're like in July at the middle of the year, and you have like this whole planning and a lot of activities going on because you have to pursue that goal. The company changes the CMO or the director, and they go, yeah, everything looks fine, but we're gonna change the goals. And then you have to like everybody gets like scared, and you have to run around and what should we do now? And also what you mentioned, bonuses, they work into that a lot. It's like what's best for my bonus.
Yeah.
So if this works great for me, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Well, and then that brings it to the question, like what does it even mean to be data driven? Because Yeah, everyone says that. I'm a data-driven marketer. I'm a T-shaped marketer. I'm a blip-shaped marketer. Okay. But like okay, so they always say like data-driven. So okay, so if you look at a thing, what number's bigger, like 6 or like 10. Okay, like 10. Okay, I'm a data-driven marketer. But I think the thing is like, of course, like people like follow the data and like what makes sense. And everyone says that, but I think with bigger like with enterprise companies, it's a little bit harder because there's conflicting interests, and then in terms of what the truth is, kind of what you make it, um, and like people watching, you can like really think about that beyond like this what we're talking about. But like the
Yeah,
truth is like the ads partner or person, yeah, the ads are killing it. They're doing a really good job. We need more budget. Then the email person, yeah, the email's killing it. We need more budget. And then the other person, like, we're killing it. Like we need more budget. Or like new CMO comes in, hey, like these people like they aren't really doing a good job because you're looking for like the confirmation bias, potentially maybe it's true. So there's like
hmm,
all these conflicting interests, and now it's like confusing, and then you need to question like people's not just people's motives, but people's subconscious motives that they may not even be like realizing what they're doing. So now it's like that's like complicated. And then with the smaller companies, it's like super easy. It's like, hey, like I want you to make money. Like, you want to make money. There's no one trying to get a bonus. There's no people like fighting over budget. There's no one, usually trying to like prove themselves or anything like that. So I think it's just interesting that like it's such a
yeah,
different game like that.
yeah. And I have like thought about like a different analogy. It's like the smaller companies are like when you're really young and you're trying a lot of stuff and you're like easygoing and you tend to like, yeah, I want to have a good time and stuff. And then it's like the enterprise clients are more like, and the enterprise companies are more like, yeah, like I'm experienced. I don't want to try this. I don't want to try that. But then again, it's like that ties into what you said about like Amazon. I really love Amazon as a company. I think they're like, there's obviously some stuff that are not like so good, but it's like the customer centric focus is like unwavering, and that whole like day one mentality where it's like there's always going to be somebody trying to knock you over. It's like I think that is a smaller company mentality working inside a major enterprise, right? But then it's like the egg or the chicken. It's like he, got, in my opinion, he got to transform that company into a huge enterprise monster company because of that mentality. Of course, like as you mentioned, like data driven. It's like, yeah, I look at the numbers, but it's like, are you data driven? Are you making decisions solely entirely based on data, what the data is telling you? Because otherwise, I think there's like Dr. William Demis, which was one of the guys that like helped Japanese industries after the Second World War, and he was like, without data, you're just a person with an opinion. So you have to be to look at the data, and also there's something that I think that ties into being data driven is that some companies they kind of are data driven, but they tend to get like in love with ideas, concepts, products, and I think it's very important to know when you have to like quit something, like this is not working. And then sometimes, like I mentioned in that story earlier, it's like, yeah, a quarter is not work, like a second quarter is not definitely not working. So should we keep this for a month or a second month and then like kill it? So it's like, no, let's keep on going, let's keep on going. And then that ties into like enterprise clients. They have like it's kind of like very mixed feelings because they have like this huge pile of cash, which allows them way more cushion to try new things, but they don't. And when you and smaller companies are like, yeah, I want to try like everything under the sun, but they're like they like are eating scraps. Like they don't have money for anything. So that's like something that I think is, I don't mean funny, but like interesting because those that could like keep testing a lot of stuff usually end up not doing that and not being data driven and just like doing what they're always doing, and that ultimately leads into their downfall. It's like Kodak. It's another like good story, I believe, because don't know if you guys know, like Kodak, they had started working into the digital camera product. No, they didn't start working. They had somebody there like, hey, we should do this, and the hippos were like, nah, man, we don't need this. We're like, I don't know, like every 10 uh, frames that are like frame rolls, picture rolls that are sold, like nine comes from us. And they didn't think about that. And when they found out about the digital cameras, they still didn't move. And by the time they started, like, okay, this is a problem, it was irreversible. And
Yeah,
that's the end of it.
I mean that's like Blockbuster and Netflix. Um,
Yeah,
but I want to defend the hippos for a second because we're usually like talking trash about like enterprise and like hippos. Um, so I think like it's not necessarily that they're like dumb and closed minded, maybe as much as people think, but also like for enterprise companies to try things, the cost is a lot higher because you need to get approval from all these people. You like in terms of like you got to play the politics game. You might have to like cash in some favors to get something done like that, and then it's got to go through legal, and then it's got to like do all this other stuff. So like the cost to trying stuff is also like exponentially higher. So I just wanted to defend them a little bit because like they have all these resources, but it takes them so long to mobilize them and activate them that sometimes it does legitimately not make as much sense to try things.
yeah, yeah. You have a point. It's like sometimes uh, there's like there's like the balance is tilted towards like the status quo for sure, because they have a lot to lose if stuff something bad goes, something goes bad, something goes wrong. So yeah, so I mean, not every hippo is like unqualified or anything like that. It's just that, as you mentioned, there's a lot of hoops to go through, and sometimes people tend to like not fight the system. It's like it is what it is. So I'm not gonna be the like that the guy that is always saying no, we need to do this, we need to do that, and people don't agree with him or her, and then they look like, oh, this is that. Here comes that person always telling us to do different stuff and do better and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's just funny how all those the interactions and the relationships are so different, and it's funny too how much more formal typically like working like any point of contact you have with an enterprise client, like how much more formal that relationship will be versus like
Yeah.
small businesses. like like last year, like you guys know, like I met up with one client in Boston and we had like a bunch of beers. I definitely had a couple too many, and then met up with another client in Texas and like like stayed at his lake house, hung out. It was cool. And like with enterprise clients, like there's no, like with I'm thinking of like the relationships that I've had. There's no way like anything even close to that would happen, you know. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, but then
it's a very different relationship
and then
for sure.
the trade off too is that like because it's more formal and they're like more like hands off and everything. It can be more like chill in some senses, so you don't really receive like the emails at like midnight or like on the weekend, like, oh, we're having this issue, can you help us, whatever. But I mean, everything in life's a trade off.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that especially when enterprise clients and enterprise companies are like the first at market share or the second, things things tend to go way more smoothly because it's like you're in a plane that is already at the flying altitude and flying speed, and people are like, everything ties into what we were saying, like, should I change lanes, should I speed up? Yeah, so people tend to get a bit afraid, and they're like way more chiller with what they're doing. So Yeah, it's like, and also one thing that you mentioned that I really like is like the political game is really strong in enterprises, and with smaller companies, it's way easier to like talk things through like in a straightforward manner, right? So, and also most of the time, like the person of contact is like way closer to like the owner, or sometimes you even deal with the owner, right? The owner, the CEO, the founder. So it's like, oh, we should. You think we should do that? We've had those like, yeah, we totally trust you guys. You were saying that we need to do this, so let's go and do it. So that's like very good, a very good feeling compared to when you're dealing with an enterprise and the marketing manager says, okay, now I have to go through like three different meetings, and sometime next month maybe the CMO will hear about this, maybe not, and then I'll give you an answer about that.
Yeah, and some people may like that, or may like the other way, like significantly more.
Yeah,
Do you have any closing thoughts on the difference between working with enterprise versus small clients, in digital marketing?
I think that there's no like best size company. I think that everything is a learning opportunity. I think that working with smaller clients makes you like grow faster. I do think that makes you like be like quick on your feet and like iterate more and stuff. But also when you work with enterprise clients, that gives you like a learning opportunity as well, because like maybe you will be dealing with like major ad campaigns, or like I have to coordinate my digital marketing campaigns with the TV campaigns that they are running. They might be doing Super Bowl ads or something, so you won't get that opportunity with a smaller client. So I think my advice is like to make the best out of every situation you're in. So learn, always be learning, and use what you've learned. That's one of the main things that I try to keep my focus on. Is like uh, it's not only about learning. You have to use what you've learned. I think Bruce Lee said it like, if you're not using what you learned, then there's no use for that. So you can. I have used stuff that I learned in smaller clients into enterprise clients and vice versa. So yeah, I think make the best out of the situation and always be learning.
Those are some very wholesome closing remarks.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Felipe, for your time today.
Thank you both, and
And
see you next time.
yep, I'll see you in Mars. I'm on my way.